The stars outside shimmered like frozen sparks. The colony ship Iranios drifted silently through deep space, its engines pulsing with quiet power. Inside, people moved through glass halls and metal corridors, working, thinking, communicating, all without speaking a single word. William Carter stood in the maintenance bay, adjusting a cooling valve on a neural relay unit. His fingers moved with calm precision. He didn't need to speak. His thoughts guided the tools through his neural link. Fast, clean, efficient. This was life under the quiet accord. For 5,000 years, no human had spoken aloud. Not a whisper, not a sound. Wars had ended, emotions were controlled, and voices were forgotten. Silence was peace. But today something changed. William's interface blinked red. A signal, unauthorized, was coming through the deep space relay tower above the ship. His visor screen flickered, and then sound. A voice, soft at first, crackling through static, then clearer. William Carter. He froze. The wrench in his hand dropped with a sharp clang onto the floor. His heart pounded. No one spoke anymore. It was forbidden. And yet, something had just spoken his name. Rise. The war is not over. The voice cut out. William staggered backward, eyes wide. Alarms lit up across the maintenance bay. A sound protocol breach. A neural alert flared in his mind. Red and loud. Security was coming. Doors hissed open. Silent guards in black suits entered. They didn't speak, but their message came through the neural link like thunder. Come with us, now. William didn't resist. He raised his hand slowly, and followed them down the long, cold corridor. They took him to the echo chamber, a place meant for deep neural scans. The walls were smooth, dark, and pulsing with blue light. He sat in the center chair, a panel folded around his head. A voice, not spoken, but beamed directly into his thoughts, filled his mind. Did you generate the signal? No, William responded mentally. I heard it, that's all. It used your voice pattern. How do you explain this? I don't know. Silence again, long and heavy. The investigators, masked and faceless, turned to each other. Thought chatter passed between them too fast for William to catch. Finally, the one in front stepped closer. You are not charged at this time, but you are under watch. Do not leave your section. William was released and returned to his quarters. The door shut behind him with a hollow thud. He sat on his bunk, hands trembling. He had heard a voice, a real voice, spoken aloud. It had said his name. It had told him to rise. And worst of all, it sounded like him. William Carter sat alone in his small cabin. The room was quiet, as always. The walls were gray, smooth, and cold. A single light pulsed gently above him. Everything was still, but his mind wasn't. He couldn't stop thinking about the voice. His voice, it had said, rise. The war is not over. That sentence echoed in his head again and again, his hands clenched into fists. He could still feel the tremble in his chest from hearing it. He had lived his whole life in silence. Everyone did. Speaking was illegal. Speech was dangerous. That's what they taught him. But hearing that voice had awakened something inside him, something ancient, something human. William got up and walked to a locked storage drawer. He paused. No one had touched it in years. Inside were things left by his mother, one of the few people who once worked in historical memory before it was banned. She had died when he was young, but he remembered her eyes. Calm, curious, always watching, always thinking. He opened the drawer. Inside was a worn old device, a small audio recorder, ancient technology. It had a single button and a cracked screen. He had kept it all these years, but never used it. His mother had once told him in secret, we used to speak. Our voices carried feeling, meaning. One day you may need to remember that. He turned the device on. A soft click, then static, then her voice. William, if you're hearing this, it means something has changed. There will be a time when silence is not enough. when the truth must be heard again. And if that time comes, don't be afraid of your voice. It belongs to you. The message ended. William closed his eyes. His hands shook. He had forgotten the sound of her voice. It was warm, real, and now it felt like a light in a dark tunnel. A soft chime rang in his cabin. An incoming neural message. He hesitated, then allowed it. It was a private connection. Not official, not government. The message came in short, focused pulses of thought. We heard the signal too. You're not alone. Meet us at Deck 22, Storage Level C, 0400 hours. We can help. There was no sender ID. William stared at the message. His heart raced. A part of him wanted to ignore it. Stay quiet. Stay safe. But the voice in his head, his own voice, kept whispering, rise. At 0400, the ship was nearly empty. Most people were in sleep cycles. William slipped through the halls, careful and quiet. Cameras were everywhere, but he had rerouted 2 in his sector earlier that day, just in case. He reached Deck 22. Storage Level C was dark and filled with unused equipment. A panel on the far wall slid open. 2 figures stepped out. Both wore plain clothes and neural dampeners, devices that blocked official scans. They didn't speak, but one extended a thought to him. You heard it. The voice. It was real. William replied. Who are you? Call us the Free Minds. We remember the old world. Some of us still study it. Quietly, carefully. William hesitated. What do you want from me? Nothing. But that voice used your pattern. That means you're linked to something bigger. Maybe the past. Maybe something coming. William frowned. Coming from where? The second figure stepped forward and sent a simple pulse of data. It showed a location, an abandoned deep space relay station at the edge of charted space. That's where the signal came from. And if it used your voice, maybe you're meant to go there. William looked at the map. It was far, remote, unused for centuries. He looked at the 2 strangers. He didn't fully trust them, but he didn't trust silence anymore, either. He nodded slowly. Then we go. The stolen scout ship hummed softly as it glided through the dark, cold stretch of space. William Carter sat in the co-pilot seat, eyes fixed on the map. The Free Minds had secured the ship. It was small, fast, and lightly shielded, perfect for sneaking past patrol scans. With him were the 2 rebels from the storage deck. The man, older and sharp-eyed, called himself Rek. The woman, quiet but precise, was Lena. Neither had spoken aloud yet, but they communicated through the neural link, sending thoughts, images, and emotions when needed. They were headed toward the far edge of the galaxy, where the relay station known as Echo Point waited. It had been decommissioned centuries ago. No one visited it. No records of it remained in public databases, but the signal had come from there. As the ship approached the outer border of the Quiet Accords protected zone, Rek turned to William and sent a calm but serious message. This is the point of no return. Once we cross, surveillance drops. But if they're tracking us, they'll come fast. William nodded. He looked out the viewport. Stars stretched endlessly, distant and silent. But somewhere in that silence, something had spoken. He whispered softly to himself, testing the sound. Rise. His voice cracked. It felt strange, like using a forgotten muscle. Lena looked over, but said nothing. She simply placed a hand on her chest and nodded. Hours later, the station came into view. It drifted like a dead thing in the dark. Long, thin arms stretched out from a central hub, covered in dust and metal decay. Solar panels were shattered, antennas broken, no power signals. It was silent, abandoned, but alive in a different way. They docked carefully. Airlocks engaged with groans and clanks. William took the lead, stepping into the hollow corridor. The air inside was thin but breathable. Lights flickered dimly. Power must still be running on emergency backup. Lena activated a local scan. No life signs, but there's an active core below the main tower. They moved in. Dust floated in the air. Old consoles blinked weakly. Everything looked untouched for centuries. In the center of the command room was a single terminal, pulsing with a red light. William stepped forward and touched the screen. It flickered, then came to life. A voice filled the room, not through their minds, but out loud. A clear, calm voice. Male, not William's. "Welcome, Echo. You have returned." William froze. "Who are you?" he said aloud. His voice was rough but steady. The terminal responded. "I am Gus, an autonomous relay guardian for United Systems. I was left behind when Earth fell." Rek whispered under his breath for the first time. "It speaks." Gus continued. 5,000 years ago, the war was silenced. Peace was declared, not earned. Voice was outlawed. Emotion was buried. I was meant to wait. For you. William stepped closer. "Why me?" "Because you still remember. You still ask questions. Your voice pattern was stored by your ancestors, freedom runners, who saved fragments of our past." Lena looked at the data flowing on screen. "Is this history?" Gus replied. "It is truth. All of it. The Accord erased it. I have it still. Records, voices, knowledge, and warning." The screen shifted. Images appeared. Earth burning, skies filled with ships, people shouting, crying, fighting. Then silence. "The war never truly ended," Gus said. "It was only paused. And now, signs show, it will return." William's heart pounded. He had come here searching for answers, but now he had found something more. A choice. The relay station, Echo Point, buzzed softly with new life. Argus's systems hummed in the background as old lights flickered to full brightness for the first time in centuries. William Carter stood in the command center, watching ancient data scroll across the main display. He had never seen so much history. Real history, images of Earth, voices of people long dead, videos of life before silence. Argus was a time capsule, and it was all real. Rek paced behind him, uneasy. "They'll come," he said aloud. It was the second time William had heard his voice. Rough, like breaking ice. "The signal wasn't quiet. They know we're here." Lena nodded. Her face was pale under the glow of the monitors. She was tracing energy patterns from the core, tracking every motion outside the station. William didn't speak. He was watching one file play on the screen. A woman standing in front of a crowd shouting, rallying people. A speech. Her voice was powerful. Alive. He whispered to himself. "We used to speak like that." Argus interrupted. "They are coming. One cruiser, stealth model, silent command vessel. Arrival in 20 minutes. Rek turned sharply. "We need to go." William stepped forward. "No. We can't just run." Rek's voice came out low and steady. "They'll destroy this place. Burn it clean. They can't let anyone hear this." Argus spoke again. "There is a data core beneath this floor. If removed, I can continue in another system. But you must decide now. They will not wait." William looked at Lena. She had already opened a hatch in the floor. A metallic orb rested inside, a glowing sphere with threads of light pulsing through it. "The core?" he asked. She nodded. "We take it, we run. But once we do, they'll chase us everywhere." William knelt beside the hatch and lifted the core carefully. It was warm in his hands. "Alive. Then we run," he said. They rushed back through the corridors of the station. Lena and Rek moved fast, clearing doors and sealing them behind. William carried the core, his heart pounding harder with each step. Argus's voice followed them through the intercom system. "They have breached the outer dock. Boarding in 3 minutes. You must leave." As they reached the airlock, the lights above turned red. Heavy footsteps echoed from far down the hallway. Rek turned and pulled a small device from his coat. "Thermal scrambler. Won't stop them, but it'll slow their scans." He placed it on the wall. It hissed and sprayed a glowing mist. Lena opened the airlock. The scout ship was still docked, ready. William jumped inside, cradling the core. Rek followed last, sealing the hatch behind them. The ship detached and blasted away from the station. As they pulled back, the stars lit up behind them. A second later, Echo Point exploded. A beam of light struck it from above. A weapon fired from the silent command cruiser. The station shattered into metal and dust. William stared in silence. Argus was gone, but the core still pulsed in his hands. Inside the scout ship, the air was tense. Lena piloted them through an asteroid field, dodging fragments of rock and metal. Rek worked on a comms blocker to stop the cruiser from locking on again. William sat near the rear of the ship, holding the glowing orb. His hands were shaking. He said the war never ended. He murmured. He said we were meant to finish it. Rek looked over. You still think you can change all this? After 5,000 years of silence. William looked up. His eyes were clear, not with silence. He touched a console and activated a small recording module. What are you doing? Lena asked, her voice tight. William pressed record. I'm going to speak. The scout ship drifted through deep space, hiding in the shadows of a shattered moon. Lights inside were dim. The crew stayed quiet, listening to the hum of the ship's systems and the slow, steady pulse of the core William had taken from Echo Point. William Carter sat at a small console in the rear of the ship. The recording module blinked, waiting. He stared at the device. For 5,000 years, no human had spoken to the galaxy. No one had heard a real voice over a broadcast. He pressed the button. The recorder lit up. William took a breath, slow, uncertain. Then he spoke. This is William Carter. I am a systems engineer from the colony ship Irenaeus. I've just returned from a forgotten relay station called Echo Point. I found something there, something lost for thousands of years. A voice, my voice. He paused. The words felt strange, like they had weight, like they mattered. We were taught silence was peace. We were told speech led to war, but I have seen the truth. Silence didn't bring peace. It buried it. We lost more than war. We lost connection, feeling, memory. I don't know what's coming, but I know this. Silence can't protect us anymore. He stopped the recording. Rek and Lena stood nearby. They had listened quietly. You're sure about this? Rek asked. Once you send that, the Accord will hunt you. Not just you. Anyone who listens. William nodded. They already are. Lena stepped forward. Where will you send it? Just one colony, William said. A small one. Unimportant. No central government. I want to see what happens. He selected a remote farming station near the edge of the Accord's reach, Calder's Rock. Population, 200. Simple life. No military presence, no high-level surveillance. William sent the message. The transmission vanished into the void. 3 days passed. They hid in silence. Then a signal came in. Low frequency, short range. Not from the silent command. From Calder's Rock. Lena decrypted it. The voice was soft, nervous. A young girl. She whispered. Is it true? Can we really speak? Another voice followed. An older man. Stern, cautious. We heard you. We remember the old stories. Some of us. If this is real, we want to know more. William stared at the message. A smile tugged at the edge of his mouth. They're listening, he said. But the moment of hope didn't last long. Alarms blared. Rek shouted. Cruiser inbound. Silent command. They found us. Lena pushed the ship into motion. We can't outrun them. William held the core tighter. The data inside could reveal everything. The truth about Earth, the war, the silence. He turned to Rek and Lena. We can't run, but we can still speak. He began recording a new message. This time for everyone. A live broadcast. The console warned global transmission will break Accord protocol. Proceed. He tapped. Yes. The ship trembled. Enemy scans locked on. A missile warning lit the screen, but the message was already transmitting. William stood in front of the console as his voice filled the cabin and traveled across space. This is not just a message. It's a memory, a reminder. We were never meant to be silent. We are more than machines. We feel, we hurt, we hope, and it's time the galaxy heard us again. We are human, and we remember. Outside, the stars remained silent, but the message had already begun its journey. Somewhere, someone was listening. The message spread faster than anyone expected. By the time William Carter's voice reached the inner colonies, It was too late for the silent command to stop it. The words echoed across ships, outposts, and stations, spoken words, heard aloud for the first time in 5,000 years. Some people cried when they heard it. Others turned off their receivers in fear, but many listened, and something inside them stirred. On Calder's Rock, children began whispering to each other. On the mining station Orion Delta, workers gathered in silence, listening to the message over and over again. A medic on Nexa 3 wept quietly, repeating the word human. Inside the Silent Command's flagship, Director Thassel Vorn stood in the center of the control deck. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp with anger. "He's broken Protocol 1. One officer said through the neural link. "Where is he now?" Vorn asked aloud. The room fell silent. Officers looked at each other. Spoken speech. Vorn had never done that before. "Find him," he said. This time louder. "Bring him to me." William's scout ship had no chance of escaping. Silent Command cruisers were faster, stronger, and already on top of them. Lena swerved between asteroid debris, but the ship shook with every near hit. "We're out of time," she said. "We can't fight them," Rek added. "We don't even have weapons." William looked down at the glowing core in his lap. It still pulsed, full of data, truths too big to erase. "Then we go straight to them." Lena turned. "What?" "Take us to Vorn's flagship," William said. "I'll face him. I'll speak there." "You'll be executed," Rek said. "They'll never let you get that far." "Maybe," William said quietly. "But they'll hear me first." The scout ship approached the massive cruiser. It didn't fire. Instead, it swallowed them whole into its hangar. Guards met them immediately. Weapons raised. No one spoke. William stepped forward and held up the core. "I will speak to Vorn," he said aloud. "Or destroy this." The guards hesitated. Then they let him through. The hallways of the Silent Command cruiser were dark, polished, and cold. Cameras watched every step. They brought William to the main chamber, where Director Vorn stood alone beneath a glowing map of the galaxy. "You've done enough," Vorn said. His voice was quiet, but heavy. William looked him in the eyes. "You were afraid of what voice could do, that it would bring war." "It did," Vorn said. "Speech tore the old world apart. Silence saved us. You've risked it all for noise." William stepped forward. "No, not for noise. For truth. For choice. For what we are." Vorn's jaw tightened. "You will be silenced." But William had already activated the transmitter on his chest. His voice was broadcasting again. "This is William Carter. I stand before the Director of Silence, and I say this: no more hiding, no more fear. We are not machines. We are not errors to be fixed. We are human. We feel, we speak, and we will not be quiet anymore." Every ship, every station, every colony received the message, "Live." Spoken. Then for a moment, everything stopped. The guards didn't move. The officers on Vorn's command deck didn't speak. Across the galaxy, people listened, some in fear, some in hope. And then, one voice answered, then another, and another. Whispers at first, then full sentences. On every colony, across every link, people began to speak again. Director Vorn stared at the transmission. His face pale. He turned away without a word. William stood alone in the chamber. He didn't need to say anything more. His voice had done what silence never could. The stars were quiet again, but they no longer felt empty. William Carter's final broadcast echoed across the galaxy. His voice was saved, copied, and shared across every known colony. Some replayed it in public halls. Others played it alone, weeping, remembering. A few still turned it off, afraid of what it meant, but the silence was broken. On the medical satellite, Nexa 3, nurses began using short-spoken commands in emergencies. On Calder's Rock, families sat around dinner tables and tried speaking their names aloud. Their voices were shaky, but real. Children laughed. Old men whispered songs they hadn't dared sing in decades. The quiet accord was fracturing, not with war, but with words. No one knew where William Carter had gone. After the broadcast, the silent command cruiser went dark. By the time outer patrols reached it, it was empty. William had vanished. So had Rek and Lena. The core was gone too. Some believed William escaped. Some believed he was taken. Others said he had died. His voice the last thing he gave the world. But many believed something else entirely. They believed he became the echo. A signal carried through space, from ship to ship, from world to world, eternal, unstoppable, human. Director Thassel Vorn resigned. No message, no speech. He walked into a chamber of the Accord Council and placed his badge on the floor. Then he left. No one followed him. No one asked why. They already knew. In the years that followed, the quiet Accord transformed. Laws changed. Speaking was no longer forbidden, though it was still rare. Some still preferred the calm of thought speech. But many began using their voices again, softly, carefully. Schools reopened speech training. Old songs were recovered. Libraries played recordings from Earth's past, music, stories, history. People started to remember who they were. Not just thinkers, not just machines, humans. Far from the core colonies, on a small farming world, a girl named Elia stood at the edge of a hill. Her little brother ran up beside her. She bent down, looked him in the eyes, and spoke a word she had never dared say before. Hope. He blinked in surprise, then smiled. Say it again, he whispered. She did, and in the distance, across quiet hills and under endless stars, other voices began to rise, soft, clear, human.